let's solve this infinity shell rule, this challenge on TryHackMe. And in this challenge, we will investigate, you see here, investigate traces of an attack, and we need to find a web shell. So let's take a look. A web shell lets you control the computer, as its name implies, using the web. So typically they would upload a program, a web program, and with that program, they can then run commands on the server that the website is serving. So let's take a look. Let's start this machine. We'll take a second or so to load, and you'll see they only have one question: what is the flag? So we need to detect the flag. So the machine has started, and what they want us to do is to find the web shell. Now, any web shell, of course, runs on a web server. Web server is an application that gives you web pages. Typically, that is either Apache 2 or Nginx on Linux. Those are the most widely used. So let's take a look at log files. Log files are little text files that will tell you everything that's happened on the web server. So you can find those on Linux in the folder var log. So I'm moving into that folder var log with this command. Then I list the files and folders. You see ls commands, and we find different folders. So from the Linux server, if it is running a web server, you'll either find Nginx here or Apache 2. So you'll see there's no Nginx in this folder, but we do have this Apache 2 right here. So it might be running the Apache 2. Now we can take a look, and we'll find different files here. Typically, if you want to find a web shell, you need to look at the access log. Anytime someone opens a link on the internet, they send a link request to the web application, to the web server, and that just gets recorded. So you see we have various files here, access log, and then we have two other access logs. Let's take a look at the sizes. So we can do that with this command, ls-al, and it shows you the size of every log file. So we have some empty files, 0 bytes. So this access log and error log, they might as well not be there. They are empty. Typically, this file is not empty at all, but it depends on the server. In this case, we have one access log that has a lot of data here. You see, it's quite large, and we can take a look at it with the cut command. So it's a cut, and notice the .1 at the end, that's the file name. So with the cut command, we can see what is inside, as cats can see, or something. The cat command, it shows you the data. So we're looking at it with cat's eyes. And in here, every line you see is someone asking something from the server. So for example, these lines, they ask get, and they try to get this post.php from the web server. Now, to detect a web shell, what you're looking for is commands. So anything that might look like pwd, ls, or any Linux commands, or just very long URLs. So if we can go through this list, we can scroll here, and you'll see these are all regular URLs. Someone tried to open this CMS site master. Here we see something long. This is a very long JPEG name. Now, this could be suspicious or it could be legit. You see it's a very long link, but it ends with .jpeg, so it might be legit. Now, let's take a further look. And you'll see here CMS site, ing, blah, 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 pages.php query. And then we see something here. So looks like a command. And if you take a look at the one here, someone asks the get request. So they they type in the website this link, which is /CMS master, blah, 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 and again a query. And you'll see this command. Now this command, it looks like a base 64 encoded command. You see this is here at the end, or double is. Looks like a very long line of gibberish. So this could be the base 64 encoding. Anytime something can be encoded, so it's like writing it in another language. So instead of directly pwd or cd or other Linux commands, you can encode that into a different thing. Like in the past, they would encode messages into Telegram, and they would send those Telegram messages. In the same way, you can encode a message into base 64. And this looks a lot like base 64. You see another one on top, where this definitely looks like base 64. You see those two is's on the end, equality signs. So let's copy this and try to decode that. We can do that with CyberChef, or we can simply do it in the terminal. Let's try to decode that. Base 64, we paste it in. So we try to decode it, and it doesn't want to. So let's open up CyberChef. So we'd open a new terminal, and we open CyberChef. Here we can put in that thing, and you'll see the input. That is the thing we detected, the output. And in this command list, we can grab the from on base 64 and try to decode it. So someone typed here the command, who am I? Now, this is not the flag, obviously, but we found the web shell. They are encoding the commands into base 64 to avoid detection, probably. And in that way, they can run commands. As here, this is literally the who am I command. So they use the web shell to run the who am I commands. Now, let's take a look. Because we found it, but there's so much stuff here that it got lost. So we can filter this. And the thing they're using for the web shell is this query. See here, image.php query. So let's filter on that. So we can type again this cut commands. And then let's move this guy aside. We can filter. We can say in breadth. And then we can say query. We only want the ones that are the web shell. So in this case, those contain the words query. Now we see all the different commands. So we have here this query. There is this command, which I think was the who am I, D2H4. Yeah, that was the who am I command, the first command they run. Then if we scroll down, there is something short here. I'm not quite sure what it is, but let's decode it, which is ls. Okay, they run ls. Then there's a very long one here, another base 64 encoded command. So you'll see this is a web shell because they're using this images.php, which is obviously a web file, and they're using that to run commands, in this case in base 64 encoded commands. So whenever you have some file, some web URL, it could be a PHP file, where there's question mark with some command after, that could be a web shell because those commands are run by the server, in this case the Linux server underneath, directly on the system. Let's take a look at this one, and you'll see we found the flag. Let's copy it and move this guy again, and we can then paste it, and we solved the challenge. Well done.